Yo, what's happening with you? This is your boy Jay South, Class Rep 0414 AM. You already know what's up. This is not necessarily a quick, but it is a very informative video that will help you properly submit projects throughout your time period here at SAE Institute. Please pay very close attention, as it could be all the difference in the world between A's and B's and D's and F's. Let's get started. Of course, you want to go to wherever your project is. I'm going to use mastering for my example. Once you click on it, you're going to want to check out some of the parameters, such as the date that is due, the points it's worth. You want to check out the brief description of what you're going to have to do for the project, some of the things you'll need to go ahead and prep. Make sure you read it carefully because it's very helpful. And then of course you'll find out where the files are that you'll need for the project. In most circumstances, it is the student server where you'll find it. So we go to the student server, which you can only connect to when you're at the school. So remember that for future reference. It's usually in resources, usually in project files, and my particular file that I'm looking for is in the mastering folder. Once you find wherever your files are, you want to make sure that you drag them onto the desktop. Never open up a Pro Tools session or a Logic session or Ableton and drag the file into the session. First thing you want to do is drag it on the desktop to make sure that you have properly acquired it the right way. Once you open up the DAW, whether it's Pro Tools, Logic, or Ableton, make sure your parameters are good. For instance, the bit depth, sample rating, whatever the requirements are, because you'll start your whole project off the wrong way. Also, you want to work on labeling the project the right way. Make sure you initial it as they ask you to. You label it with the project and your class. File management is very important, so pay attention to where you're saving it. Pick a specific place. I even suggest creating a specific folder for it, so you know exactly where your project is that you're saving. For instance, I labeled my file mastering project, and then I know exactly where to look when I need that project later to submit it or when I'm getting ready to work on it again. Shift Command I is the shortcut to import audio, and you can also just go to File and Import and make sure you hit audio in case you don't know the shortcut or for whatever reason don't want to use it. You remember we did put your file on the desktop, so once we find it, we don't want to hit add, we don't want to hit add all, we always want to hit convert or hit copy in. Convert or copy in, I'll show you an example of hitting copy in later just so you can see it, but never hit add or add all, because sometimes you'll be without your files later when you go back to open up the session. Once you have your file in the DAW, you want to make sure that it's being saved and running from the correct location. So you'll go to disk allocation located in setup menu and just check it out. Make sure that where you saved it and where you opened it from is exactly where it's going and running from and being saved to. Just back up for further reference. I'm not going to do my project right now, but of course you want to check the parameters of your project when you get done. Make sure that you're meeting the requirements of the rubric. One of the precautions I take is doing a saved copy in version. You simply hit save copy in. Make sure you hit include audio files and hit OK. That assures that all the files, no matter where you pulled them from, are saved in the session. If you correctly did it earlier when importing audio files, you shouldn't have that problem. But this again is just back up that you have all your files saved in the session. Once you get to the point where you're ready to bounce, you probably have to bounce it as a WAV file or MP3 file. Go to bounce to disk. This is Pro Tools 10, so we don't have the option of doing offline bounces to where you don't have to listen to the song once you hit bounce, but that is in Pro Tools 11, and it also gives you the option of doing a MP3 version with a WAV at the same time. As usual, make sure when you're labeling, you label it correctly, because this will be your WAV file or your MP3 file. Also in 10, it does not give you a bounce folder when you bounce the song, but we can easily create one. We go to the folder we know we saved it in, create a bounce folder, and that is where we can save our audio file at to get later. Now that we're about ready to submit our assignment, we want to go back to the project page. And what we want to do this time is look at the actual rubric. This lets you know in detail what they are grading, and it's as easy as checking it to make sure everything is done. If you have it done and it's done correctly, you will get the points. If you don't have it done, you won't get the points. If you do have it done but not correctly, you'll get some of the points. So most of the time when you turn a project in, whether it be on Canvas or the student server, they'll ask you to compress the folder into a zip file. We simply do that by going to the folder of the project. We'll click on it. Of course, you want to make sure everything's there, your audio files, your bounce files, make sure everything's good to go. And we'll click on that folder and simply go to compress, and it'll show the name of the folder. That is the folder that you'll actually turn in when you hit submit folder, the compressed folder. Again, if that's part of the rubric, make sure you compress it and turn it in. Otherwise, you stand a chance for a 0. Again, I can't stress enough to double check everything that it's asking you to do. Make sure you submit it the right way. If it asks for an MP3 compressed and asks for a WAV file in the student server, then you do it just like that. Once you go to choose file after hitting submit assignment, make sure you get to the right folder. Make sure you do hit that compressed folder and hit submit assignment, and you should be good to go. One of the things that you also want to do, maybe better than I did before I actually submitted it, is go to the folder and actually play the WAV or the MP3 file to make sure that it plays. Just because you bounced it doesn't mean that it will play and you'll have sound. So once you hear it and play it all the way through and you know it's good to go, then properly submit your MP3 or WAV file. Earlier, I talked about showing you an example of where you would do a little bit more than just convert files into Pro Tools, but you would actually have to copy them in. This is a mixing project that you'll get to eventually. Again, same protocol. You want to drag it onto the desktop. Once you do that, so you want to shift Command I to import, or go to import audio when you have your DAW open. We're going to find those files. Once you have the files open up, select them all. Again, do not hit add. Don't hit add all. You want to copy. Again, every time you have a scenario like this, copy in. If you add or hit add all, you have a possibility of not having those files in there when you go to turn in your project at the end of the day. We just want to look at a couple of more examples to make sure you guys are getting your projects done right, whether you're in Logix or Ableton. Even here in Logix, you want to make sure your master phase are there, make sure all the parameters are met, whatever they told you to do, make sure you get it done. Then you want to bounce it and go to bounce project or the session. Just meet the requirements every single time. If they ask for MP3, give them the MP3. If they ask for a certain bit depth, make sure you choose that bit depth. If they ask for AIFF version, make sure you give them that. Whatever they ask for, make sure you give it to them just like that. Again, stick to the details, pay attention to whatever they're asking you for. As long as you do that, then good grades are guaranteed. As always, even in Logix, when you hit bounce, always check your bounce, make sure it plays, make sure you're good to go. File management as always is important. Make sure you put it in the right place. Ableton is just a little bit different. You want to go to collect all and save. This allows you to take all the WAV files and different files that you've been pulling while putting your project together, and it saves them into the session the right way. It's kind of like doing saved copy in for Pro Tools. It's just the version of that for Ableton. Then you'll go to export once you have those files properly saved in, and again, you want to stick to the requirements. Whatever they ask you for, give it to them. MP3 or WAV, Pay attention to your bit depth and your sample rate. Once you have everything done the right way and you are finally ready to submit your folder, you'll simply go to Lab Project Submissions. Make sure you find the proper folder to submit to and submit your project. Once you have your project submitted, go to the SUPE's office. Go see the lab instructors. Ask them to look at the folder that you just submitted. They will open the folder for you. You can double check to make sure all your audio files are properly placed in there. Make sure that the sessions are in there, your backups, whatever is required, your MP3, your WAV. You can make sure everything's in there, and just know that you got it right. They're not going to tell you whether it's right or wrong, but you can look at it for yourself. If you open it up and you see some files missing, then you know you need to go back and try it again, which you do have the luxury to do so. Again, this is J South 0414 AM Class Rep. I wish you the best luck. Remember, you're not here to barely succeed, but to be great. Set the trend. Don't follow it.